Hello everyone and welcome to CX Talk, the Customer Experience Show. My name is Dave Murray and today I'm with John DiJulius, fresh off of vacation. Welcome back, John.
Great to be back. Great to be here.
It's great to have you.
Excited about this new initiative that we're doing at the DiJulius Group.
This is our new monthly show. We do this every month and we're going to talk about things such as best practices in the service industry, blunders, and there's a lot of those, so we'll talk about those quite a bit. We're excited to be in our brand new studio. We have John fresh off of vacation. We even have our own bobbleheads, and I'd like to point out how much taller I am than John.
Those are definitely not to scale.
I don't know, maybe pretty close. It might be pretty close. Maybe we can tackle that one later. So, before we get into our first topic, John, I did want to ask you, you're back from vacation and you have book number 3 coming out in January. How does that feel to have that done and almost ready to go?
It's exciting. I'm so excited about having a new book, The Customer Service Revolution. And it's going to be out, as Dave said, in January, and I think it's going to be something that's really special, encompassing what world-class customer service companies do. But not only that, it's going to be something that the employees can read, not just management. I don't think there's enough books out there that employees can read and get it and be inspired. So I think that's kind of one of the unique things about it.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
So let us begin, shall we? We're going to start with a blunder because they're always so much fun, aren't they?
Yes.
So here's one that comes to us from Colorado. We're going to start with baseball because after all, it is baseball season. And the Indians are still in the hunt, right? They're in the wild card race.
We're from Cleveland, and our Indians are within striking distance. Hopefully they'll go on a nice run and make it.
It's August and the tribe is still in the picture. That always makes summer fun.
That's a good sign.
So here's one from the world of Major League Baseball. Colorado Rockies. The owner, Dick Monfort, had a couple of quotes that were in the news recently. I'm going to read one to you. Some fans were not too happy with the performance on the field this year. They are not meeting expectations.
Yeah, they haven't been having a good season. They're not playing well.
No, not at all.
What does this have to do with customer service?
Well, I will tell you, because here's what happened. He started to receive some emails and a lot of negative criticism from the fan base. So
which is typical, you know, so you worked for the Indians.
I did.
And so that's got to be typical whenever you're not performing well.
I was on the receiving end of a lot of those complaints, and we had a saying at the ballpark that when the team is not winning, the hot dogs are cold and the beer is warm.
Yeah.
And when the team is winning, they may still be cold hot dogs and warm beer, but no one cares.
No one cares.
So,
all right, back to the Colorado Rockies.
All right, so here's what Mr. Monfort had to say to one of his fans who complained about the experience. His first quote is, "If the experience is that bad, don't come to games."
He emailed this fan back, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
If the experience is not that bad, don't come to the game. Wow, that is not building brand loyalty with that fan.
Well, it gets even better. Because another fan complained, and his response to this particular fan was, "By the way you talk, maybe Denver doesn't deserve a franchise. Maybe it's time to find a new home. Thanks."
Wow. So he's threatening to move the franchise out of Denver.
Yes.
Wow.
Basically say maybe you don't deserve to have us here if you can't put up with some bad baseball.
Listen, you know, every business has competition, and I think you know, when you're a major league baseball team, the competition for fans isn't necessarily the team that you're trying to beat; it's your other teams, like the Denver Nuggets and the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
And the Denver Broncos are pretty good.
Yes.
So if I'm a fan and I'm getting treated and spoken to and threatened, I think I'm going to invest my entertainment dollars probably in the Broncos, who are going to put a better product on the field.
Right. Let me ask you this, John. As a leading consultant in the service industry and someone who has such a great reputation, just seeing these two quotes, maybe he was having a bad day, what do you think about the service within that organization when you hear the leader saying something like that? Are your expectations high of that organization?
Well, you know, the service aptitude starts at the top, and so, you know, I would expect, listen, we all get frustrated. We all get beat up from time to time from a customer, or, you know, have bad days, but the leader cannot ever show it. The leader shows it, treats his employees less than world class, and makes public statements like this that his employees you know, are aware of, and then that, you know, trickles down, and then the fish stinks from the head. So if I'm you know, working tickets or selling hot dogs, or whatever it may be, you know, what's going to, you know, not, you know, stop me from being, giving the same attitude towards the fan that's at the park, if I know it's coming from the top. I'm really surprised by this. I'm really surprised that an owner of any company would speak publicly to their customers like this.
Yes, he really must have had a moment of frustration.
Yeah, I believe reading that he got a lot of backlash, and he had to issue an apology.
He did. He was. The quote I saw was that he was forced to make a public apology. So I don't know how willing he was to make that apology, but he did apologize to the fan base.
And I think that the biggest takeaway is, you know, we have to walk the talk as leaders. And, you know, it's even like after you get a letter, a complaint letter or email or you know, a phone call. In front of our staff, we can't hang up, read it, and say, oh my God, what a, and talk disparaging. In front of the staff, we have to say, hey, you know, what about that is true? What do we have to review? And we always have to, you know, look and walk the part of, you know, what can we learn from that and how can we make it a better experience? Our staff, let alone the customer and public, can never see an attitude, because that obviously that's suicide. That's suicide for any business, let alone a major league you know, team.
Right.
People have a lot of options out there.
They do. They do. They can always just go skiing instead if they want.
There you go. There you go.
10 speakers, 2 days, 1 event. The Secret Service Summit, America's #1 customer experience conference. Tickets available now, and enjoy early bird pricing through August at secretservicesummit.com.
All right, John, so if you thought that one was bad, I have a doozy for you that I know you just heard of recently as well. So we hear all the time that when it comes to loyalty scores and customer service rankings, cable companies are always at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to satisfaction scores. But I have one for you that I want to play a little clip from, because it's pretty incredible. So to set up the scenario, a customer calls into Comcast and all he wants to do is cancel the service. He just doesn't want his internet anymore. And boy, is he in for a fight on the phone. Let's listen to a little of this for a minute here.
Will not give you that speed.
Okay, we'd like to disconnect. We'd like to disconnect, please.
Okay, so why is it that you don't want the faster speed? Help me understand why you don't want faster internet.
Help me understand why you can't just disconnect us.
Because my job is to have a conversation with you about keeping your service. I'm finding out why it is that you're looking to cancel the service.
I don't understand. Is this
If you don't want to talk to me, you can definitely go into the Comcast store and disconnect your service there. Okay, if you're asking to take care of two birds, that can kill two birds with one stone. You got to return that cable card to the store anyways.
We're actually going to just mail the cable card in, but if you can just please cancel our service, that would be great. That's
Okay,
all.
we actually
That is
can't.
all we want.
We're actually not able to return a cable card by mail.
Then I will send someone like a TaskRabbit to go return the cable card for us. I don't personally intend to go return the cable card. That's why we're probably not going to be canceling in store. So that's why I need you to cancel by phone. So can you cancel us by phone? The answer is yes, correct.
I mean, it sounds like you don't want to go over this information with me. I mean, if you don't want to go over that information.
So this guy has an answer for everything, right? He's basically like, oh, we can't take it by mail. And the poor customer's like, I'll send it to you by carrier pigeon. I don't care. I just want to cancel on this phone call. I don't have time to deal with you. He won't. He won't. And then I love the last line before I cut it off there. It says, it sounds like you don't want to go over this information with me. Well, no, I really don't. And I think I made myself clear already. So the entire length of that conversation is over 8 minutes. We only played about 60 seconds of it just to get a taste.
I believe the customer, after several minutes, was so frustrated he started recording it.
Yes.
Because it was just repetitive.
Right. So there was actually more to this than the 8 minutes that we have. And we have 8 minutes of the end. But it got a lot of publicity. It was definitely in the news. So much so that their senior VP of customer experience issued an apology, and it went to something like this. I'll paraphrase a little bit. We are very embarrassed by the way our employees spoke with Mr. Block and are contacting him personally to apologize. The way in which our representative communicated with him is unacceptable and not consistent with how we train our customer service representatives. What do you think should happen to that employee?
You know, to be honest, I don't think it's the employee's fault.
Really?
Listen, Comcast has been always the lowest. They're consistently ranked the lowest, and everyone's blaming this employee for being relentless and not letting the customer disconnect. But you know, and in this letter by who's the person that issued the apology?
The senior VP, Tom Karishnak.
Yeah, he throws this employee under the bus. By the way, our representative communicated with him is unacceptable, not consistent. However, this is an isolated interest. You know, everyone at Comcast has low service aptitude. First, Comcast was ranked second worst in the Customer Service Hall of Shame list for 2014. That right there contradicts this senior vice president's claim that their goal is to always treat our customers with the utmost respect. Secondly, Comcast trains their employees to do exactly what this employee does. His position is retention specialist. And you know, so there was a great blog that I looked up on this by Jeff Toyster, titled "Comcast Botches Service Failure Apology." So he's not talking about the call as much as how they handled after the call. Toyster in his blog talks about how the service failure wasn't the employee's fault. Exactly what I agree with. He was doing his job, how it was designed. He even says the employee should probably get Employee of the Month. So he explains that these customer service reps are called retention specialists. And as their job title implies, their role is to convince customers not to cancel. And they're incentivized based on the amount of business that they save. So they get paid higher for not getting people to disconnect. And if a certain percentage of customers still decide to cancel their service, a retention specialist bonus will go down. So really look at who's to blame. You know, we hire someone, we tell them, you know, you can't let anyone cancel. Here's what you do not to let them cancel, and throw up all these obstacles and barriers, and we're going to pay you better if you do this job well.
Right.
So, you know, listen, you know, it all starts and ends with service aptitude, and they've taught this guy to be the guardian of their retention, and you know, and he did his job the way he was trained. I certainly wouldn't want him to be doing that, but you know, that's where it goes back to the senior, and that's why I think their service recovery at it was so poor, because you can't say, hey, we teach all our employees to put the customer's needs first when you rank last or second last every year at customer satisfaction.
Right. And when you put it that way, and you have the information that you just shared with us, you can tell that Mr. Block and his cancellation was really not a priority for them. They just wanted to keep him around.
Right. No, he kept on throwing obstacles and obstacles, but again, those obstacles were probably a checklist that he has to, you know, go through. So, while I wouldn't want my employees doing that, I don't know if we can blame the employee here.
You're
because
right.
He was trained and he's very good at his job.
Now that we know what we know, he might have been one of the best at it and just took this customer the wrong way. He might be doing this on a regular basis, but it works.
Right, right. And he may make the most money in that company from a retention specialist. So again, both examples that you've shared today have gone back to the top, the leadership, and what message they're sending to their frontline employees. And then you can see how it translates to the customer satisfaction.
That's right. It all starts at the top.
All right.
The Customer Experience Executive Academy, preparing customer service executives to lead, design, and manage the customer experience. Applications for 2015 courses now being accepted. Find out more at cxeacademy.com.
All right, John, I know that you were recently out west working with a client, and they are in the apartment business. They are a real estate management company, primarily apartment buildings throughout the U.S., and you were working with them on some zero risk, making sure that they're easier to do business with. And I wanted to ask you this when I heard about the story and share it with our audience because I thought it was pretty fascinating. Can you share with us the dead cat story?
Yeah, so whenever we do workshops we always learn a lot, so one of my biggest pet peeves, if you ever heard me speak, is the word policy. I think policy is the worst thing you can say to your employees, because employees take policy literally. There's no gray, it's black and white, and then they make stupid decisions. So here's a great example. They have a policy that, whenever you want to take someone off their lease, your lease, you have to get some proof that they're no longer living there. So a resident went into the leasing office and asked if they can take their cat off their lease. You get charged a pet thing because their cat had just passed away. So the leasing manager said, well, we need proof. We need proof that the cat died. And so, people are fanatical about their pets, and she was mourning her pet, and she had to go get proof from the veterinarian, which the veterinarian was shocked and said, in all the years I've been doing this, I've never had such a silly request. So obviously that was something that blew up. And again, I don't think it's the frontline employee's fault. I think it's the manager's fault, management's fault, leadership's fault for putting these policies in place. I like the word guidelines. Guidelines is good, most of the time we follow this process, this procedure, but sometimes there's extenuating circumstances that we don't need, and that's an extenuating circumstances that I think it's pretty safe to trust the resident, the customer there, that the cat is in fact dead.
Yes, and I have to think that all that grief that they caused was probably over, I don't know, a $20 or $30 monthly fee to have an animal in your apartment.
Yeah.
So not a lot of money at the end of the day either.
Right.
To cause all that grief.
Right.
Another example from the same client comes to mind that I've heard about before, talking about policy versus guideline. I have heard that residents of some of their buildings, complexes, will go into the property manager's office the day the rent is due and say, hey, I want to pay my rent, here's my check. And the response will be, sorry, you got to mail it. That's our policy. We can't take it.
Right.
So they're basically turning the money away and saying, go put it in a mailbox and send it to the P.O. box that's on the envelope. We can't take it.
Right, which then makes them late. They get penalized. And again, this isn't this company's trying to take advantage of anybody or even being lazy, but, and that's why we had the workshop, because they knew that there was a lot of complaints that could be corrected and so as they were growing, they started creating some systems in place, saying let's direct everyone to pay online, direct payments, or mail it in. And so, again, it became a policy taken too literally, where someone walks in and is in front of you and wants to hand you money, and they send them away. So that's not being too easy to do business with. So, and we have to look at that. Every one of our businesses, has policy, and you go to websites, and you go to, signage, you have negative cues. And I always say, why do so many people's policies and agreements and warning make it look like they're so angry? And a lot of things can be reworded. Sometimes you still need those things intact, but I really think it's a dangerous thing using the word policy with your employees, because to me, if you tell me it's policy and I work for you, I think I'm going to get in trouble if I don't follow that policy. And now you have a client calling you and screaming at you for something silly I did.
The other thing that particular example was doing in the apartment complex is they weren't thinking of any alternatives for their customers.
Exactly.
They're just sending them on their way. Sorry, I can't take it.
Right, right.
As opposed to training their employees to think of what they can do as opposed to what they can't do.
Exactly. If nothing else, I don't know what the policy is, but take the envelope, put a stamp on it, put in the outgoing mail for them.
Right.
Right? You're not inconveniencing the customer. The customer's trying to pay you. The customer's trying to, and one of the biggest complaints is they're always late. So, someone's trying not to be late and stick to it. So it just goes back to, change the word policy to guidelines so people don't take everything so literally.
All right. So,
you have anything good here, Dave? These are depressing
I was just going to say, we have 3 blunders in a row.
Yeah.
Three kind of bad service stories. How about a good story?
All right. What do we got?
Have you had the opportunity to fly on Frontier Airlines yet, John?
I don't believe so. I don't recall ever flying on Frontier.
They are new to our market. I have. They're new to our market. They're expanding pretty rapidly here in Cleveland. I've gotten to fly in them twice.
So you're telling me that we're talking about airlines in a good way?
We are. We are.
This is a shock in itself.
And I am not surprised by this because I've flown them already. And I know I've had 2 good experiences with them. I know how they operate. I know that they put customers first. So when I first heard this story, it didn't really surprise me. It probably surprised a lot of people that are flying other airlines on a regular basis. But the story that just came out recently was Captain Gerard Brander, who they were in Denver.
The pilot.
The pilot. They were delayed quite a bit. He had nearly 160 passengers on his plane. And what he decided to do, because of the long delay and because it was near the dinner hour, he actually called up a local pizza company and had pizzas delivered to his plane so everyone could have a meal as they waited to take off.
Domino's Pizza, which is a good consulting client of the DiJulius Group, he called.
And I bet you they got there within 20 minutes.
Right. So they so they were sitting on the tarmac for a while.
Yes.
And it didn't look like they were moving too soon.
No, they had a long delay.
That's crazy. That is an exceptional story. I believe this was done on his own dime.
He did pull out his personal credit card to pay for that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like when they interviewed him because this is a bizarre story in a good way. I would love for my employees to take the initiative and we wouldn't make them pay. But when they asked him, why he would pay out of his own pocket, he said, if the need arises, you need to take care of your family. You need to take care of your passengers. They're my responsibility at that moment. They step onto the aircraft until they get off. That is really cool. That is a great mindset, and if in fact Frontier does have a good customer service reputation, as you point out, you can see why it's trickling down to their employees. I haven't heard if he was reimbursed for that.
I have not either. We're going to have to do some investigative work on that and maybe report on our next show.
But kudos to Captain Bradner from Frontier for feeding a bunch of stranded passengers. That was really cool, and ordering them all pizzas.
So you wanted a good story, and I feel like I came through because I had a good story and it involved an airline.
I know, that both are surprising. Good stuff, Dave.
Thank you, John.
CX Talk is brought to you by the DiJulius Group. Follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, and visit our YouTube channel monthly for more entertainment and education with John and Dave on CX Talk.
Okay, John, so we're starting to run a little short on time for show number 1. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed talking service with you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as they say. And we're going to have a lot more shows and a lot more opportunities to do this. Before we go for today, though, I do want to point out some good news. It is August, and our viewers have until the end of this month to take advantage of a fantastic discount, $300 off, on tickets for the Secret Service Summit, November 5th and 6th. Now, I know a lot of you out there watching have heard of the summit, have actually attended the summit, and know how great it is. For those of you that are not aware of the summit, I can tell you firsthand from a person who's attended as a client of the DiJulius Group and then as a speaker, it is a truly unique opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become inspired by some of the best service minds around. I guarantee if you go and you send some of your employees, they will be invigorated and they can't wait to get back to work and start implementing some of the things they have learned. So I would highly recommend it. Again, it's November 5th and 6th right here in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. Well worth the trip. And John, this is going to be your 6th summit. So let me ask you, what are you looking forward to this year?
It's every year I think it's the best ever and it can't be topped. Certainly last year was amazing, but the lineup is just incredible. So to your point, the Secret Service Summit is the only conference I know of. It's the #1 conference in America that it's dedicated exclusively to the customer experience. You bring in your management team, your franchisees, your general managers, and it is about 12 speakers that talk about different aspects of the customer experience. Internal world-class culture, the service vision. And half the speakers are leading authors and best-selling authors and consultants like James Gilmore, who wrote The Experience Economy, which has been said to be one of the top 100 business books written in the last 100 years. He's keynoting. We have Rory Vaden, best-selling New York Times best-selling author, is back this year. He has a new book that's coming out in the next couple months, Procrastinating on Purpose. So we have a bunch of great keynote speakers. Robert Richmond, who is the founder of Zappos Insights, he is speaking. His new book is coming out. And so half the speakers are these consultants, thought leaders, and then the other half are CEOs, presidents of world-class brands. So we have Chuck Runyon, who's the founder and CEO of the Anytime Fitness, the #1 ranked franchise in the world. Fastest growing 2,500 fitness clubs across the world and growing like gangbusters. You want to talk about world-class culture. They have over 1,800 employees and customers that have tattoos. Anytime Fitness tattoos. So, we just had TJ Shear, who operates a bunch of amazing restaurants. So not only can you hear from the leading authorities, Dave is one of our presenters, myself, you just have 2 days of motivation, customer experience topics are going to be covered that you can go back and make a direct impact and make customer service your distinct competitive advantage, and most of all, make price irrelevant.
Well, I can't wait. It's November 5th and 6th. We hope to see you there. Remember, you have until the end of this month to take advantage of that discount. We hope to see you all there. And also, we hope to see you at our next show, which will be coming out on September 24th. So just about a month from now. This show.
CX Talk.
Yes.
Starring Dave Murray and John DiJulius.
Thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.